All right. All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode here. Welcome to another episode here of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about the 2025 travel ban, which has not been formally implemented yet, but there have been several kind of leaks of information, drafts of information about some travel bans that could be implemented here as soon as this week. And so welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining the Empowered Immigrant Live. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. Today, our topic is the 2025 travel ban. All right? And so that's what we're going to be talking through today. And before we get into that, I always ask, do you want to get a green card? Do you want to apply for asylum? Do you want to have help to navigate what's going on in the crazy world of immigration law right now? Do you want help to figure out what the best strategy is or what options you have to fix your immigration situation? Because if so, go for it. And I'd love to help you with that. My law firm is on a mission to win 10,000 cases in the next 10 years, and we would love for your case to be one of them. All right? So thanks to everyone for being here, and welcome to our episode today of the Empowered Immigrant Live. The date that I'm filming this right now, it is the 18th of March of 2025. Trump has been back in the White House for 8 weeks, and a lot is changing. A lot is changing. The Laken Riley Act's been signed into law. ICE is starting with its mass deportation efforts. The Senate and the House have approved Trump's budget to support him in those efforts. There's a new registry requirement, which I'm not going to go into today, but I likely will go into that on Thursday of this week. And DHS has fired the acting director of ICE and hired new leadership within ICE. The Trump administration has fired many immigration judges. And now this week, we're talking about the new travel ban, which is what we'll discuss today. And there's a lot of other things going on with immigration. You may have read in the papers last weekend, a plane of deportees from Venezuela were sent to El Salvador. All right, so they're starting to deport people not to their home country, which is crazy in and of itself. But what was interesting last weekend is they were using what they call the Alien Enemies Act, which 1790 something rather act that is still on the books that allows people to deport in as if it were wartime, right? This is like a wartime provision, and so that's kind of a crazy situation. What happened this weekend, though, is there was an entire plane en route to El Salvador of deportees, and a federal court judge ordered the Trump administration to turn that plane around and bring those people back to give the courts time to figure out whether or not that deportation is even lawful. All right? And Trump didn't do it. They didn't do it. They didn't comply with the judge's order. And now, I don't know if you saw in the news, but now there's this movement to impeach that judge. We're going to see tension, all right? We're starting to see it. Tension between the executive branch and the courts. And it's going to be very interesting, is one way to describe it, to see how this all plays out, because, the courts are one of the powers of this country, right? We have the balance of powers in theory. And so when the executive branch under the president does things that might violate the law, like the courts have their say, right? They are the third branch of our government. And so we're going to see what happens in the upcoming days, weeks, and months as the drama continues to unfold in regarding immigration law in this country. Okay? So anyway, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Again, my name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Thanks for joining. And, let's talk about the travel ban today. So Trump's travel ban, as listed, it's not yet implemented, but as it's been announced, it creates this three-tier list, okay? It creates a red list, an orange list, and a yellow list. And what it does is the red list, they're saying that citizens and nationals of the countries that are on the red list are fully banned from entry into the United States. And that list includes the countries of Afghanistan, Bhutan, Cuba, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Venezuela, and Yemen. Those are 11 countries, all right? And citizens of those countries, even if you have a valid visa, even if you have a green card, all right, from those countries, you will not be allowed to enter the United States. And so be mindful of that. You'll need to talk to lawyers about that. I am not aware yet of the exceptions to the rules. Right now, we've just seen everything that's been said in the news, right? Not all of this has been published. Not all of this has been explained. And so we got to be we'll do additional videos as soon as we know more information. But right now, the best advice is if you're from any of those countries and you have a visa or you have a green card, come into the U.S. ASAP, like as soon as possible, so that you don't get subject to this travel ban, okay? Because it is not yet law, or it is not yet being enforced. Okay, the second list is what they call their orange list. And orange list countries will be required to have very specific visas and everybody in those countries will need to have in-person interviews to get those specific visas around the travel ban. And the countries on the orange list include Belarus, Eritrea, Haiti, Laos, Myanmar, Pakistan, Russia, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, and Turkmenistan. That's 10 countries. And so we're going to see how that unfolds, right? And we're going to see and have that defined in more depth. Okay? And then in addition to that, there is a quote-unquote yellow list. And the yellow list, basically, it sounds like that people from countries that are on the yellow list will be able to apply for visas and green cards as normal, but the government is giving those countries 60 days to address various concerns that the U.S. has with each of these countries, okay? And so it's like a tactic, I think, to get greater clarity, greater uniformity, etc., from each of these countries, or whatever it is that the Department of Homeland Security is needing to see from, like compliance-wise, from each of these countries. So which countries are these? All right. It's a longer list. I'll read it out fairly quickly. All right. The country on the yellow list include Angola, Antigua and Barbuda, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cambodia, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Chad, the Republic of the Congo, the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Dominica, Equatorial Guinea, Gambia, Liberia, Malawi, Mali, Mauritania, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, Sao Tome and Principe, Vanuatu, and Zimbabwe. Okay? And so there you have it. There you have it. Those are the 3 lists of different groups of countries that are going to have additional scrutiny, right? That'll have additional scrutiny before people can enter the United States from those countries. All right? And so the best advice is if you are a citizen of any of those countries, and if you have a valid green card, if you have a valid visa, if you have a student visa, if you have some other entry document to enter the U.S., the best advice is enter the U.S. now. All right? Enter the U.S. as soon as possible before March 21st, right? Or as soon as possible today, if you know, because after that ban gets into effect, you know, you will need to speak carefully with a lawyer before leaving the U.S., before re-entering the U.S. Like, you might not be allowed in, you might not be allowed back in, even if you have valid, legal immigration documents and immigration papers. And so, yeah, this is not a crackdown on unlawful immigration. This is a crackdown on lawful, legal immigration. And for me, it's very concerning, frustrating. For a lot of our clients, it's going to be concerning and frustrating. And anyway, I wish you the very best in how you navigate it. As of today's date, my best advice is if you're from any of those countries and if you have a valid visa to enter the U.S., enter the U.S. like as soon as you can. All right. So that's my talk for today. I hope that's useful. I hope that's helpful. If you're just joining in right now, thank you for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding immigration attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. And if you've got questions, submit your questions. Let me answer them. I'll do my best to answer them all right here, right now, live. And yeah, I hope you're having a good day, folks. Hope you're doing well, each of you out there. So I see some questions coming in. Thank you. Business mindset. I see your question. You say, I just got a notice saying that my interview got scheduled. What should I expect? Okay, good question. Good question. You say it's a marriage green card interview. So in a marriage green card interview, you know, the government, if it's your first interview, then typically you'll go in with your spouse, and the government officer will ask questions regarding the forms that were completed when you filed your I-130 and your I-485 and all of the different forms that are required along with your green card case. And then they'll ask you questions about how you met. And they'll ask you questions about the status of your spouse and clarify that your spouse is a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident here in the U.S. Clarify how you entered the United States and whether you're quote-unquote admissible. So if you have any arrests, if you have any legal issues whatsoever, if you've ever committed any type of fraud on any immigration application before, etc. And then they'll make sure that you have a quote-unquote bona fide relationship. So, hey, how did you meet your spouse? And what side of the bed do you sleep on? And what side of the bed does your spouse sleep on? They can ask those questions. If you have good evidence of your like if you have children together or something of that nature, if you have good evidence to show that it wasn't just a marriage for immigration purposes, then typically it goes pretty short and sweet. Okay? So good. Thank you for being here. And business mindset. That's a very cool name. All right. I love being a business owner. Maybe I don't say that too often. My business is running an immigration law firm. All right, but I love it. I love the running of the business of my business. And I also love fighting for clients, right? So anyway, so business mindset, cool name. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. All right, MB, you say, hello, sir. I had an interview last week for asylum. After 9 years, officer told me to come back personally to pick it up. Yeah, they always do that. They always do that. That's nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to worry about at this stage. Very, very common. Okay? And I hope you get approved. All right, very good. Let's see. Adam, K1 for a red list country. Yeah, it'll be denied. All right, all visas for countries on the red list are going to be denied. So sorry to say it, you don't waste your money. You're going to be denied. Okay. So Alamgir Jangir, if someone wins asylum and gets a green card after your green card, how long are they going to take to apply for citizenship? Okay, so if you have a green card, one of the cool things about asylum is that your asylum, when you win a green card through asylum, they give you an extra year. All right? And they do that because for various reasons, but they call it the look-back doctrine. All right? And it gives you an additional year of residency status. And so what you've got to do is you've got to look on your green card, and it'll say a date that says resident since, and it'll be 1 year before the actual approval of your green card. Well, when you're a resident since for 5 years, when you're a lawful permanent resident for 5 years, and really 90 days before that you're allowed to do it, 5 years you can apply for your citizenship. With one exception, and that is there are a couple of exceptions, but the main one is if you're living in marital union with a U.S. citizen. And then you can apply, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, you can apply for citizenship after 3 years, not 5. Okay. Can apply for naturalization 6 months early? No, but you can apply 3 months early. All right? So, Mazin, I see your question there. It's 3 months. It's 90 days before the 5 years you can apply. All right, SZ96. I got your acceptance notice for a work permit. In it, it says you don't have to do it because they can use previous... Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. It says that you don't need to do biometrics. All right, sometimes the government can use biometrics that you've done previously rather than make you go into a new biometrics appointment. And so anyway, so it looks like your work permit is under process. It looks like you don't have to go get your biometrics done. And so good, you should be okay. I believe that is what you received. If you really have questions about it, you could send in that notice. We could have a consultation and really discuss it. But based on what you're saying, I think that's a very common thing, very common notice to receive when you're applying for a work permit. All right, I'm seeing some questions come in. Really grateful to each of you. Thank you for being here and for asking your questions. So let's see, Paul Villefranc, you say, how long does it take to make it out of 221G? I know what you're talking about. There is no answer. All right, I wish I had an answer. It will depend. When you go to a consular appointment, right, and they say, we can't, your visa's refused under 221G because of administrative processing. We can't issue your visa yet, but we'll consider it, or we're doing additional background checks or whatever. Sometimes your case will go into a black hole and it'll take a long, long time. Other times it's just a couple weeks and you'll be out of 221G administrative processing. There is no one answer. And so unfortunately you'll need to work with your lawyer and really think about, okay, what can we do to minimize the time that it takes to get you a decision? Okay? All right. John, your question is, I was in removal proceedings in 2022 and the court dismissed it without prejudice. After that, I applied for an I-400, you mean an N-400 for citizenship, and I was denied. What can I do? Well, that's a good question. You were in removal proceedings, they were dismissed without prejudice, and you applied for the N-400 and you were denied. What can you do? So look carefully at the reasons that your N-400 was denied. Look carefully at the reasons or what the judge said in your court case when your court got dismissed. You'll want to you'll want to really look at it. My best answer for you would be to run FOIAs. All right, run a full set of requests for all of your records. FOIA stands for the Freedom of Information Act, which allows a person to request everything that the government has on your case, and we can get to the bottom of what's in your record that's causing them to deny, that allowed you to get PD on the one hand, so it can't be that bad, but on the other hand, caused them to deny your citizenship. There's something in your record, all right, and so you're gonna need to look at that. Good. So athletics videos, you have a question, all right. How long can you be outside the U.S. with a travel document? A friend is outside the U.S. for more than 8 months. So each travel document is different. You need to look at the expiration date of the travel document. The best advice for green cards, which are a travel document, is to never be outside the U.S. for more than 6 months. But visas don't have that same restriction, and advanced parole type travel documents don't necessarily have that same restriction. And so, you really want to, the best way to know the answer to that would be to have a consultation and really look at the documents together. But the initial advice is to look at the expiration date of the travel document itself and make sure that they re-enter the U.S. before it expires, right? Let's see. So, and Paul, you're asking, I was placed on 221G 9 months ago. Is that normal? It's common. Yes, it is. All right? And without knowing more of your case, right, it depends on why your case might have been put into 221G. But 9 months is common. Yes. All right, Isabella, hi from Minnesota. Hello to you. Thanks. Hello from California. All right. And so you say, thanks for all you do to educate people about immigration laws. Hey, thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Viral Beast, are you reviving new clients or receiving new clients? Yes, we are. All right. Receiving. I see you said it there. Yes, we are. Yep. And so, yeah, if you've got a case, if you have questions about your immigration status, if you want to do a consultation, that's the first step to see if you have a case that our office can help you with. Okay? All right. Jose Avitia. I applied for a green card through marriage. I have 2 kids that are USA citizens, been married for 10 years. Okay. All right. So good. I'm glad that your case is underway. The question, so it looks like you have a bona fide marriage. That's good. The question will become, how did you enter the U.S., and have you ever been arrested? Have you ever, is there any, have you ever been in deportation proceedings? Like, there's a lot more that needs to be understood to give you good advice about your case. But otherwise, good. I'm glad that you're applying for a green card. Congrats to you on that. But I do recommend you really determine that you're eligible before submitting that paperwork. All right, Sira. Hi, can you go visit your home country after you become a U.S. citizen through asylum? Thank you. The honest answer is yes. Once you're a U.S. citizen, it's like you can do what you want. All right? After you're a U.S. citizen, then it's like the risks of traveling, even back to your home country, even when you got your fought your case through asylum, the risks go way down, right? Because you're a U.S. citizen and you're traveling with a U.S. passport, so it makes everything a lot easier for you. So let's see, FSZZ, I already answered that question. Yep, they can use your previous biometrics. That's right. Nature and Adventures, how much does it cost for a marriage-based green card without advance parole? Well, it depends on a lot. You know, it's one thing to know that you don't want advance parole. It's another thing to know all the complications or simplicity, right, with your case. So the way that I can answer that question is by first doing a full consultation, getting to know you, getting to know your spouse, you know, understanding really the case and the situation, and then we can give you a good estimate as to what the costs would be. All right. So Jose Avita, you've been here since you were 10. Nice. Okay, and you're now 33 and you have possession of marijuana 15 years ago. What are my chances? Based on what you're saying, there's no eligibility, right? Unless you, so you're married, okay, same person, right? You're married, you've got you're applying for a green card, you have 2 kids that are U.S. citizens. Okay, so forget what I just said. It's going to depend on how you entered, and it's going to depend on that conviction. All right? Simple possession of marijuana 15 years ago, that is a controlled substance offense, so it makes you inadmissible. There are some things that can be done depending on how much it was, etc. 212H waivers and things of that nature. The best advice would be to talk it through with your lawyer, review the records carefully, and then give you a good assessment. All right? But you're going to have a fight. It's not going to be easy. I wish it were. All right. Villa Lilia. My parents have appointments in Juarez on April 1st. Do we need taxes? 2024 taxes. I have 2021, 2022, and 2023. So on April 1st, no, you shouldn't. They're not due yet, right? Their due tax day is what, April 15th? So you should be okay. If you do have them, that's not a bad idea, but you don't have to have them. You should not have to have them, okay? Like if they denied your case because of lack of the 2024 taxes, that would be error on their part because they're not even due yet, right? So yes, that's my answer to that question. Sarfaraz, what about immigrant visa holders in the orange list country? Can they re-enter the U.S.? Get them back in now. That's my answer. All right, because otherwise they're going to require an additional interview in order to allow them to enter. So if they are green card holders from orange list countries, have them come back today, now. All right? That's my answer. All right. A.P.C. King, is disorderly conduct deportable? No, it's not. But be careful about what language shows up in the record and whether or not there's something else in the record that could trigger deportability. Okay? So the code section for disorderly conduct, no, is not a deportable offense, but other things in the record can cause deportability. The use of controlled substances being a common one, and there are other things, you know. But good question. Thank you for asking that. So let's see, Beauty, you say, if you are a U.S. citizen, can you bring your spouse from one of the red list countries? Well, no, right? No, there will be more information issued as to whether or not there are exceptions or waivers to get around the travel ban. You know, my office actually won a complex travel ban waiver under the first Trump administration. It took forever. And it was very, very difficult to get for clients from Yemen, and but we did it, and we got them here, and but the bottom line is probably not. Okay, probably not. If you're a U.S. citizen, can you bring your spouse from one of the red list countries? You got to be prepared to wait until this travel ban is done, unless they can get a visa now. all right? Like today now. Um, all right, what about immigrant visa holders in orange list countries? Sarfaraz, can they enter the U.S.? I think I answered that one already. Yeah, I did. Like the best advice is to get them here today, okay? Get them here today, tomorrow, before the 21st. Because the 21st of March is the Trump's 60th day in office, and we believe, and it sounds like the news is that that it will go into effect on that day. Okay, let's see. Hilda Rosales, does your dad, as my does my dad as a petitioner need to attend my consular interview in Ciudad Juarez in Mexico? Typically not. Good question. Typically not. All right, as long as the documents are in order, they should not need to interview your father. Okay? There are a couple of exceptions potentially to that. Look carefully on your interview notice, but typically not. All right, we've done this without issue, and you should not have an issue there. You should not need your dad to go. Okay, Brazuca. Should I be concerned going to an interview abroad after deportation was rescinded by CBP and your I-601A is approved? Cool. Very cool. I'm glad that your deportation was rescinded. Make sure that your documents are in order. Make sure you've got all your FOIAs in place. Make sure you're organized and clear about how to explain that, right? And to be able to show them the documents that show that your deportation was rescinded, because that's uncommon. And so, yes, you want to be prepared. You want to be prepared well in advance of your interview abroad. Okay? God, we're getting lots of questions. Everybody, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. Thank you for being here. I'll keep answering questions. I got 10 minutes, and so I'll do my best in the next 10 minutes to answer what questions have come in. And then if this is useful, if this is helpful, my ask is to please take a moment and subscribe to our channel in YouTube. All right? Take a moment, subscribe to our channel in YouTube. And when you do that, hit the notifications bell button in YouTube, and that's the best way to receive a notification whenever we upload an additional video with news and things of that nature into our YouTube channel. All right, let's see. So, Vic, I see your question. Hi, I entered in 2002 on a D1 visa, and I married a USA citizen and a 601A RFE saying that you're a stowaway. Can I fix that issue? So is the RFE correct or is the RFE wrong? Are you saying the RFE is incorrect? Because if they are incorrect, then yeah, you can answer saying, hey, please, attention supervisor, you guys got it wrong. Your officer has me miscategorized, right? But you want to be, work with a lawyer around that, right? Because they might not be wrong. Let me just do a quick, I don't remember off the top of my head what the D1 visa category is. Oh, it's the diversity, is it? Diversity visa? That's DV1. No, what is a D1 visa? I would need to look at your passport. D1 is a non-immigrant visa which allows you to travel to the U.S. for those serving as a crewman on a marine vessel or aircraft. So then you were working as a crewman. So you're not a stowaway, but you're still not eligible to adjust status, which is why you got to go through the I-601A process. But yeah, you should be okay to do it through the I-601A, right? So, yeah, anyway, hope that's helpful. Without seeing the words in the RFE, it's like I would want to really review it carefully to give you good advice about it. But you should definitely respond to that and do what you can to fix that issue. All right, Kadhimali 268. You have an I-212 waiver. You have an I-601A. How many days or years that he takes? I have a wife. I'm not clear what your question is. Did you already win the I-212 waiver? And now you're filing the I-601A? Yeah, these cases, I love these types of cases, but they take a long time. All right, do the conditional I-212, then do the I-601A waiver, then consular process, and you should be okay. All right, you should be okay. We've won these cases. They are winnable. They're not easy to get those things waived, though. And so lots of things to keep in mind there. Let's see, Roussant, does a DUI affect your green card? It doesn't make you deportable. They will not take away your green card with a normal meaning no one was injured, no, not felony DUI, not DUI because of drugs. If it was just because your alcohol level was over the legal limit, they will not take away your green card because of that. Okay, Harty, if you are a green card holder and you travel outside the USA, will you be deported or denied entry? No. If you're a green card holder and you travel outside the US, the best advice is to never leave for more than 180 days. And as long as you're not on a red list country or yellow or orange list country with this new travel ban, your green card is a travel permit, right? So you can travel. All right, let's see. CBC, I have DACA since 2014. Hey, awesome. Thank you for being here. I have advanced parole and I'm approved to work. I was out 2008. Should I travel? Yes. Yes. You were out in 2008. That's irrelevant. That doesn't matter unless I don't know why that would matter. Yes, you should travel. If you have advanced parole on DACA, the use of advanced parole can open up options for you. If the exit and entering in 2008 caused you to trigger the permanent bar, like that might be true. All right, that might be true. And so if that's the truth of it, then your advanced parole can't fix that issue. But it could at least give you a lawful inspection and admission parole, quote unquote, not inspection and admission, but a parole into the U.S., which can be, which in many cases can help a lot. All right, can give you an option for the future. So anyway, that's my answer there. To get better, more precise advice, I would say have a consultation. All right, to discuss. What do you mean when you were out in 2008? When were you first in, right? You've had DACA since 2014. Anyway, so there's a different issue in your case. But yes, by and large, I would recommend getting advanced parole, leaving and re-entering, and do it quickly because you don't want that to go away. You don't want DACA to go away, and you don't want DACA-based advanced parole to go away, just to be clear. All right, can I apply, Roussant, can I apply for citizenship if I have a DUI? Yes, you can. You can. It has a consequence for the good moral character analysis, which is a requirement for citizenship, but you have to be a person of good moral character for 5 years, right? Which means that sometimes you have to wait a little bit before you should apply for citizenship. But yes, you can do it and win it, even with a DUI. All right, Elham, I submitted my medical I-485 5 months ago, haven't heard back. So you should have received receipt notices. Do you have receipt notices by now? Have you done biometrics by now? Because if you haven't received anything at all, that's too long. Yeah, for submitting documents to the government 5 months ago and receiving nothing, that's a red flag. You should refile your case. But if you have receipts and you just don't have an interview yet, well, that's super common. That's nothing to worry about. Okay, it'll take 2 years of a process. Okay, all right. It's 10:58. I'm going to do. Oh man, I got more questions than I can answer. I'm sorry about this, folks. I'm going to do 5 more questions. All right. Always IU. Parents with green cards, been in Pakistan for almost 6 months. Is it safe for them to travel back next week? Get them back. Yes. Yes. Let me think here. So is Pakistan one of the travel ban countries? Because I would say bring them back before next week if it is. Let me just look at that real quick. I don't have them all memorized yet. It's not one of the red list countries. It is the one of the orange list countries. Change their flights, have them come back today or tomorrow is my best advice. Okay? All right. So then user 513 also had a suite for unpaid property taxes taken care PD. Will that affect N400? You had a lawsuit against you for unpaid property taxes? That will affect your N400. It affects the quote-unquote good moral character analysis. Get that stuff taken care of, and then you can file. Okay? Let's see. John, I received the N400 denial letter for the reason of a misrepresentation when I came to the U.S. Okay, that's a problem. That's a problem. They could put you into deportation proceedings because of that. All right, and then you need to file a waiver. The way to waive that is what's called a 237A1H waiver. So if you're ever sent to immigration court, that's what you're going to have to fight. All right, but you can do that. I'd love to help you with that if you'd like my office's help. I hope that you haven't been. Have you received a notice to appear? Are you like actually in deportation proceedings about this? Because what Trump is saying right now, what the administration right now is saying, is that anybody that's in this situation, they will send to immigration court as of now. But if you applied and got your decision back a while ago, like before the Trump administration, maybe you're okay, and maybe you will not. Like under Biden, cases like yours, you wouldn't win citizenship, but you wouldn't lose your green card either. All right? So my last question, folks, my last question. Adam, have TPS that isn't getting renewed from Venezuela and have applied for asylum, don't know what is the TPS that isn't getting renewed from Venezuela. I have applied for asylum, don't know what is the next steps. So I'm glad that you've applied for asylum. I'm sorry about TPS and all the drama about TPS from Venezuela. We could have a whole conversation about that. And fight your asylum case. That's what's next. Fight your asylum case all the way. And, and I wish you the very, very best of luck with it. Okay? So, Meg Rinair Cician 17, can my fiance enter with his fiance visa from Iran? If he's got an approved visa, tell him to get on a plane today. Have him come now, all right? Because he's going to be denied if he delays. I got to stop, folks. You guys have great questions. Mahmoud, I see your question. All right. Can I go back and visit? You're a U.S. citizen. I mean, you should be okay. It's a travel ban situation, right? And so you should be okay, though, since you're a U.S. citizen. That's different than, but still, I'd be like very cautious about it. Really I would recommend talking to a lawyer directly that can give you good advice before you travel. Okay. Let's see. Ikra, I see your question. Impala, user 8716, CBC, like everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm sorry that I can't answer everyone's questions right now. I've got to stop and get into this same episode in Spanish, and so I'm going to do that. Thank you all so much for being here, though. If this was useful, if this was helpful, please subscribe to our channel in YouTube. All right, please subscribe to our channel in YouTube. Please hit the notifications bell to be notified when we upload additional videos, etc. Really appreciate each of you. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. All the stuff that's happening, we'll get through it. We'll get through it. We got this. We got to work together. We got to strategize around it. We got to find a way, okay? And where we can fight cases in court, let's do that. Where we can sue the government, let's do that, right? And where we can defend people who are being put into deportation proceedings, hey, that's why our firm exists, folks, all right? So if my office can help you in any way, please feel free to reach out. I wish each and every one of you the very best of luck, all right? And stay in communication. We'll be live again on Thursday. Bring your questions back on Thursday morning. And we'll see you then on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thanks a lot. Make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.